The introduction should be something like you saying something like,
"Welcome to the coach's office."
I'm not tricked by the advertising.
It's not advertising.
All right, we're on the coach's office podcast. Laura has a question for JB.
So currently you are drinking a Fit Aid Energy, but in the previous podcast it said, you guys were talking about Monster, and you were just like talking shit about Monster.
Yes.
Which is, I agree, Monster is not a great energy drink. But why is Fit Aid Energy drink better? Just because it has clean caffeine on it.
So, me personally, I don't really like caffeine just from green tea. So this is going to be a proprietary green tea blend of caffeine that they have come up with, that they have intellectual property rights to. However, I have had one and I enjoyed it. So this blend that they came up with, whatever it's mixed with at this point, is something agrees with me and my body. And the second thing that I really like about it, so I tested it, so I like it.
Have you read the ingredients? Or
I did read
you
the
like
ingredients.
it just because it tastes good?
I did read the ingredients. And one of the things that I like about it is that it's just 3 grams of added sugar. So, me personally, I try and intake 0 sugar. That's a legit statement. However, I know that it's almost impossible. I've done 2 rounds of strict Whole30, the diet, the cleanse actually, because it's supposed to be an elimination diet to eliminate inflammation from your body, to return to wellness, to return to an alkaline state. One of the things that you have to remove from your diet to return to that alkaline state, to do your elimination diet, is sugar. You have to get rid of it. I'm not saying you need to get rid of sugar from your life. However, like Julianne made a paleo lemon curd pound cake, olive oil pound cake last night. It was great. It had sugar in it.
I'm sure Monster has sugar-free options.
They do have sugar-free options, but then you got to look into what their proprietary blend for how they're getting a sweet taste into your mouth. And this will be my example of why you should care about this. LaCroix is under a gigantic class action lawsuit right now because they started changing their natural flavor language to natural essence. And whatever that essence word is describing that they're producing in whatever laboratory it is making people very sick. And that's not me saying it. That's a class action lawsuit that's in court right now.
We were talking about this because we were both drinking it, and then all of a sudden they switched to this label, and like normally you wouldn't notice it, but I'm like, this tastes different.
Yes.
I don't like it as much.
Right.
And then I stopped drinking them,
Right.
just because they didn't taste as good.
Right.
And then you told me about that. That was interesting.
So
This has erythritol in it, which is like a substance for sugar.
I know.
Which is that same word.
I know. Hey, sometimes there is like a sometimes you have to work out in a hotel gym. Sometimes it's not going to have everything that you want.
No,
sometimes convenience.
You hate Monster because it's Monster, and you like Fit Aid just because it's Fit Aid, and it has natural, clean caffeine on it, or whatever, organic.
I have an issue with your support of any supplement company's use of a proprietary blend. It's nutrition and supplement speak for, we're not going to tell you how much of what we're putting in, and you're never going to really know. Any protein that comes at you that says a proprietary blend, you should just flat out avoid that. They should be able to tell you exactly what they're putting in that. So the fact that you like that, it's a little red flag to me.
There's a lot of red flags with JB. Just kidding. This is Georgie, by the way. Georgie's here with us. Anything else on the Fit Aid topic? All right. So we wanted to talk about the CrossFit article that they posted. Do you want to read it, JB? Because you gave a pretty good description of it just a minute ago.
Yeah, so CrossFit has actually sent out 2 really good recent posts, and the most recent one that they sent out was an article that was just written called Do It Right, Do It Well. I had sent you an article before this one, and then you read this one this morning or yesterday, and you sent it to me.
Yeah, I read it
and
this morning.
I thought it was really, I think it's really well done. I'm not going to be a part of the deconstruction team of all of the things that weren't perfect to me about the article.
Agree. I liked it.
There are, but to call out contradictions or something like, this article seems to stray away from some tenets that we think are important or whatever it is, I don't think makes us fall in that camp. And so we wanted to talk about why do it right, do it well is very important, why Stephanie Roche did write a very good article, and why you should go and read it, and why you should try and understand it even more than just read it. I was telling you about it, and then Laura came in, and we invited Laura in on the podcast, and Georgie was right there, and we invited Georgie in on the podcast. So now it's the coach's office with JB, Ben, Laura, and Georgie. And the do it right, do it well is very interesting because you do need to start off with 100 words of fitness. And I started talking about how I really like reading the 100 words of fitness regularly because it's a very, very, very good reminder of what this is about. The thing that I wrote down before Do It Right, Do It Well came out was that I wanted to talk to you all about what do you believe the story of CrossFit is. And I think these two things pair really well. If you can pivot back and forth, or you can talk about one and I'll connect it to story, or you can talk about story and we can connect it to Stephanie's article. But do it right, do it well is very good language, and I don't think anybody can disagree with when you're doing something, do it right and do it well. At least that's a good place to start. So we're going to discuss doing it right, doing it well, and where we've seen negligence in that or things that exemplify it.
Sure. So they started in the article, or at the end of the article, it talked about athlete A as an athlete that was performing CrossFit as it was intended to be. So they were adhering to the principles of mechanics and consistency first, then intensity. So this person was following CrossFit's core methodology. That's what the article says. And then athlete B has strayed from the CrossFit methodology by prioritizing intensity over mechanics and consistency. This is a common mistake, and athlete B is not only blunting their work capacity by not performing the movements with proper technique, but they're putting themselves at a greater risk of injury and even, blah, 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 blah. They kept going on.
What do you think they are trying to communicate in those two examples?
Mechanics first, and then adding on the intensity later. But it was funny that CrossFit in the very beginning was just, the Pukey the Clown. It was always about the intensity, and it was about getting that intensity in the workout. And it's like Greg Glassman always said, well, let me show you, rather than, I can't explain to you what CrossFit is, let me show you what CrossFit is, right? So it's always like, how do you show somebody what CrossFit is? Well, you have to give them that taste of that intensity, because that was the thing that really differentiated CrossFit from everything else. And it seems like we've strayed away from that over time, or it seems like they're putting more emphasis now on the technique, like with this article, reminding people to put more emphasis on the technique now versus putting more emphasis on the intensity, which maybe they used to do more of before. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong, because I was athlete B, by the way. I wasn't athlete A. I tried to move well, but I moved fast first and then tried to move better as I went on in my CrossFit career. And I think most people that come to the gym are probably in that same boat, unless you go to a CrossFit gym that like really, really slows you down. And not many people really focus that much on the technique to the point where they don't get like a good workout, quote unquote. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I think you got to you got to let people go a little bit in class, but at the same time, as a coach especially, you have to be aware of, okay, they need less weight on the bar. And I've done that multiple times in a workout to people that are newer in here, or maybe they're younger athletes, so they're not quite into their body awareness yet. They haven't grown into their body yet. And it's like, let's take this weight off. Let's move a little bit better. So you can move faster too at the same time. And then I think some workouts you can allow people to like ramp up that intensity because they're not going to hurt themselves. Like if they're doing burpees and they're rowing, it's like, let's push the pace. Let's see what we can do here. But if then you're putting someone into, a grace or something like that, and they're clean, you know what I mean? There's just more room for error and for injury. We don't want that to happen. We don't want CrossFit to have that moniker, and I think maybe that's part of it too. Or maybe as it's blown up or as it's grown as a sport, at first it wasn't out there as much, and now people are coming in, and people may have been here in our gym for years, and so people see that intensity and they think that's what they're going to do right away. And it's like, well, that person might not have started there.
Yeah, but that's what they want to do. Like people, when they want to work out, it's 1 hour and they want to like increase intensity afterwards. They want to feel like they worked out, like they are exhausted. Like the workout makes sense if you are like laying on the floor afterwards, which is usually not the case because there are a lot of workouts that are better, like good for you when you're not like exhausted. And like it's like people, CrossFit always is with intensity, and afterwards it's like you always think of Fran, or you always think of a workout where you're like pushing really really hard, because that's what people want. Like that's why people go to like the cycle classes. Like it's 1 hour, it's really intense, you are sweating, you feel tired afterwards, you feel like you did something.
But I think this ties in a little bit to what Ben was talking about last podcast with efficiency of movement. If people are moving poorly to go at the intensity, they're going to hit a ceiling, and they're like, why can't I get my lift higher? Why can't I go faster on this workout? Because you're all out of position and you're wasting so much energy doing what you're doing to go fast. So if we slow you down right now, then 2 months down the road, your weight's going to be higher and you're going to be moving faster.
Yeah, it's so interesting because there's so many different athletes that think different, have different expectations when they come to a gym, and they think different things about CrossFit or about the movements or about the workouts, or like they have different goals in their head and the coaches don't know they have those goals. And we're explaining like all these different athletes. But one thing I did like that the article says, when Laura, you just mentioned that people just go to spin class and then they feel better afterwards because they got a workout in. It says CrossFit is hard. We incorporate taxing, technically demanding movements into our workouts because they're the movements that provide the greatest fitness benefit. We don't dumb down CrossFit to make it easier for people to do. And then it says in parentheses, let our imitators and competitors race to the bottom by following that route. And it's funny, that was the idea. And that's what I love, that idea. I loved how it was just like, let them do that, because that's not what CrossFit is. Like CrossFit's not, oh, let me just go row as hard as I can every day. And as long as I get a sweat on and I get my endorphins and I feel good, then I got to work out in. CrossFit was more than just that. Like it was like, hey, here are these 10 components of fitness, and here are all of these skills. I want you to be able to do them all really well, that all have different technical features in each skill. Like, for example, an L pull-up. When was the last time an L pull-up was in a workout? How many people can hold themselves on a pull-up bar in an L shape at the bottom? Not many, because it doesn't just require like some muscle meathead strength to do it. It requires flexibility and strength in the position of being in the bottom locked out in an L. It's like, and then test that in a workout where you're breathing hard. It's like it just adds a whole nother level. Like there's like, those are 3 like tiers there where you're going to have like beginner not even be able to hold themselves up, the intermediate athlete where they're like doing half reps where their legs are in like a J shape rather than an L. And then you have like, the games level athlete, or the better performing athlete who's going to be able to hold their legs up and then do a good pull up. And there's like so many different levels that you can progress to. And if you don't have a coach that's explaining that type of thing to people individually, though, that's the hard part. Then you're missing CrossFit. You're missing what CrossFit is. It's like the athletes in grace. I like to tell people here that go too light, I'm like, go faster. I tell them that a lot, just because sometimes when you do go faster, you realize how important technique is. Because if you don't go fast enough, you don't realize how important technique is. So maybe we can talk about expectations when you come to a CrossFit gym. Like, what should you expect? What should your coach be teaching you? Or what do you think if you just walk into the gym for the first time, kind of what's the expectation? Or
This is good, because I actually wanted to talk about something different than this before we got here, but it segues well, which is, I was at the coffee shop last week and somebody brought up an old Rogan podcast that he had on some fitness guy, and the main premise of it is CrossFit's got it wrong. Intensity doesn't matter. This intensity is producing A, B, and C, and it's actually taking you out of fitness. It's taking you out of the gym. It's removing you from the space. And when you're removed from the space, obviously you can't get any better, and You don't want to be removed from the space. You want to be in it as long as possible. So if you can, just go slow, go far, was sort of what he was trying to say, which I don't think is what CrossFit is trying to preach. CrossFit is not trying to preach go intense and injure yourself. Like, to straw man what happens in a CrossFit gym that way was silly. So I listened to the article, but when the person brought this up to me, like, I immediately ripped into it. Like, I started poking, and eventually the person was like, I'm not the person to talk to about this. And I was like, I'm not meaning to, like, put you on the spot or anything to misrepresent a podcast that you probably only sort of listened to, or I was in the background. But the point that I bring this up is the thing that I believe is so special about this place and about what happens here is that there is something forming that is so attractive that, like, the thought of this not being in my life, like, is a problem. I'm like, I would really, really, really be missing something. Granted, I can replicate this on my own. I can replicate some of this on my own at my house. I can run, I can push, I can pull, I can breathe heavy. I can do the fitness part. But everything about this space that I think is special is something that the fitness part sort of is just a part of. But I would rather, or the longevity part of this is more than just, like, the longevity of, like, your body not breaking down. It's almost like it comes with a bunch of different things. Your spirit, the longevity of your body not breaking down, the longevity of staying healthy, everything that comes with it, where it's like, does do it right, do it well. Well, do it right, do it well keeps you here for how long? 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? Well, we're currently in the experiment, but I can't imagine myself going to a different gym. Not meaning like a different CrossFit gym, but, like, I legitimately can't imagine being any other space other than these four walls. Like, I don't have any desire to do so. And I don't have any desire to do so before I die. Like, that's a crazy thought. Like, I like it that much.
So I think it's like because your idea of what fitness is completely different than the rest of the world. Is that what we're talking about here? You like it that much because, like, this guy on Rogan explained why CrossFit was bad. I think I did listen to a piece of it, mostly about, like, how it's unsafe and all this, that, and the other, whatever. You can make up all kinds of arguments and look at CrossFit fail videos online and just see that. And, just like you can go one direction or the other. Like, you can always...
like 25 professional soccer players died on the field in Europe this year. What are you talking about? Like, this is craziness. Like, it's absurd. It's a stupid straw man.
Right. But the idea that CrossFit created when they defined fitness is different than anything that we've seen before. And that's what they've revolutionized. And that's something that's completely different. And that's why people that come to CrossFit gyms are not going to leave CrossFit gyms, because it's changed their whole idea of what fitness is, period. And they can't see fitness another way because they know that this is more true than the thing that they're presented with. And they will stay here until something more true than that is presented to them and it works better. So it's kind of like you found what's true, and it's true because it works, and it's worked for a extended period of time across a broad range of people. Mm-hmm. And once you figure that out, and it works for you, once you figure that out, you're not really going to want to leave if you really truly understand it. But, like, if I don't understand it, I might be more willing to leave in the beginning. Like, if I just come in and I'm there for 2 weeks and, the workouts are kind of not there's something completely different, and I don't really put my effort and energy into learning what it is. And if I don't put my effort or best foot forward, I might not learn, and I might be more willing to walk away.
I agree with that. I think from my experience, and I feel the same way JB does, like, I can't imagine myself anywhere else. And, like, even another CrossFit gym seems weird to me. Even when I go drop in, or the thought of potentially moving out of the area and going, wow, how do I redo that? Like, I've been here for 8 years, you know, I don't know. And when I started CrossFit, I spent 2 years testing out or had different memberships at other local gyms in the area. So to me, it's two things. The CrossFit methodology, which you said, you know, realizing that this is it. This is where my fitness lives and how I'm going to get better. I'm never going to go back to this bodybuilding style, or that doesn't interest me. That's boring. But also CrossFit is a community, and each gym has their own vibe and their own community. And this one and some others, and I'm sure there are many others out there like ours who really are thriving on that community aspect. And that's something that didn't happen for 2 years for me. I was in and out of CrossFit because it just didn't happen. And my whole reason of getting into CrossFit was I was out of shape. I just want to look naked again. I had zero expectations. Like you were asking, what are people's expectations when they come in here? And I think most people are in line with myself. I think there's a lot of just Gen Pop people that are just like, man, it's been a while. I'm really out of shape. I used to work out, or I used to lift X, Y, and Z. And now I can't. And I just want to get something back. And they sit in an intro and they listen to all of it. They go through everything. And some of these people get right in there, or they're consistent with it. And other times they just kind of fade away. Like what was their expectation? I don't know. Maybe we should do a better job of asking people that. But
Good point.
for me, it was
Really
just getting a little fitter, trying to look at naked, you know, that kind of whole stick. I never had any ideas that I would be like doing muscle ups or trying to be competitive,
Yeah.
you know?
And this
then
is where I wanted to go
somewhere
with
down
it.
the road, that just, I kept getting a little better at everything. And I was like, where did this happen? And now I'm doing these things that I never thought I would be doing.
Yeah, so it's funny because
Absolutely.
It doesn't really matter what your expectation is. Your coach should be trying to teach you what it really is.
And I didn't have, and that's the difference.
Right.
So that's the difference between, I think, a good CrossFit community and people and like a trickle down effect from the top of a gym. Do they know what they're doing? Programming, coaching, the people that are around. The first two places I went, it wasn't there. Like, what was it? I don't know. But I never got it until I came here. So I'm lucky, I think, because I don't think some people ever get that place. They may not ever find a place that's that good.
Kind of why we wanted to do the podcast, was like try to get to those reasons as to what makes some gyms a certain way and what makes other gyms certain ways. Or
Yeah, so yesterday Laura told me that she was going home for 7 weeks. I heard that and immediately thought, I'm sad. That's sad. But and then she was like, "Oh, I have to go home to qualify." And I was like, "Well, that's not sad. Wait, that's good. This is good. I'm still sad." Interesting. And then you like pull that thread just a little bit, and it's having Laura around makes these four walls are better four walls. Laura being home to qualify is great. That's a good we all want that. You all want that. We want that. You know, the CrossFit world wants that, all of the above. But those two things push-pull pretty easy, where it's like, yeah, I understand what needs to be done. But I also have this weird, or our feelings, you know, are enter the room, and it's something like people matter, you know, like actually people matter, and the people in your life matter, and your friends matter. And then you come into this what's supposed to be a gym, which is usually a hostile area, which usually is an ego-fed area, which I'm not going to say that this isn't hostile in some ways, or ego doesn't exist here, or this is the most perfect example of, you know, a space or a community that you could be in. However, there seems to be the right checks and balances to those things. And if they aren't there, they sort of show up. They almost grow organically. And yesterday was like a really, really good reminder, and you didn't even know you did this, and you weren't even trying to do it, but that's what happens here. Things happen without you trying or whatever, just by your people showing up. You're like, man, like it almost communicated something like a you matter, I matter sort of thing. This matters. Like it was it was weird, and I don't know how to describe it, but like it's good to have the small talk with the people you have the small talk with, but then it's good to be like, hey, it looks like something's wrong. Like, what's up? Like, y'all, like, you good? Like, do you want to talk about whatever it is? Or, you know, and that doesn't exist in something that takes a special person or whatever. But however, you two dinguses don't like to talk. Like, legit, we're on a podcast. We're doing the exercise of talking right now with two people, me and George, who love to talk, with two people who don't like to talk. And even this space does a good job at helping people talk who don't want to talk, or giving people a space to talk that want to talk. That's brilliant. Who could come up with a better picture of like what it means to do life with people or whatever it is? Then this is a great picture of that. But anyways, I'm sad that you're leaving. However, I'm glad that you're coming back though. Right?
Yeah, me too.
Are you coming back?
Leaving, but I'm also excited to leave a little bit, like to see everyone who's
Right,
at
see
home.
your family and all of that.
Exactly.
Right.
But then I will be back, so it's not like I'm never gonna come back.
Right. So it's weird that like it would be silly to feel abandoned, but it's not wrong to feel sad. But then it's like all those this is another example of like the nuance that goes into what we call life, which is something that makes you sad is legitimately might be making somebody else extremely happy. I'm going to see my family. And it's not at your expense, and it's not even at your feelings' expense. It's just something you don't think about. There's no way you can possibly, like you can't get past that initial roadblock. But being in this space helps people get past roadblocks. That, you know, the one that I think is like one of the ones I like seeing most is a person that gets a box jump for the first time that's afraid to jump onto a box. That mental roadblock, yeah, is one of those things. But I'm sorry for cutting you off, Laura.
No, you didn't. You talked a lot. Yeah. For example, like yesterday when I was not working out, because I just worked out and I was waiting to work out again, you came up to me and you just like asked me a question. I was like, okay, bye. And then you asked me another question. I was like, JB, stop asking me questions. Just let me be. Because you love to talk, yeah, and I don't. So, yeah.
So there's something that I feel like I wanted to talk about on this podcast was what is the story of CrossFit? Like, because if you can really, and this is what I mean, like this, and I think you'll get it a little bit, but it's like, but I did this a couple of days ago where I was watching my daughters in the kids' room, and you were done working out, Laura, and you were like sort of like at the wall or whatever. And I was like, tell me what middle school Laura was like, you know? And it was like, well, I was my brother's shadow, and I followed him around, and I played the sports that he was playing, and like I was keeping up with him, essentially. I would have never known that. But it's almost like finding that right question, like to get that, to just like, to just find out more of your story. It's like, I want to know more of your story. Like, I'm the type of person that wants to know more of someone's story because it gives you a better understanding of what makes this person. And I don't like the thought of thinking, all right, Laura, Hungarian Nike athlete, beast, going to win the CrossFit Games, shy. That's Laura. That's who Laura is. And you can't tell me any different. And obviously that's not who Laura is.
Yeah, but you don't, like, I feel like you want your privacy. Like, I don't want everyone in the world to know who I am. Like, I have this circle who knows who I am. And if I feel comfortable around you, I'm going to let you in that circle. But if I don't feel comfortable around you, I probably won't do that. And I have my reasons why not. Like, I think privacy is very important in everyone's life. Like, as much as social media is out there, you share everything. Like, I feel like I share a lot, but clearly I don't. And I share my workouts, which is not really private. Everyone can do them. It's good. Like, yeah, I mean, it's basically Ben's workouts, but I share them too. So, but I don't know, like, I don't think people should know who I am, because that's just private. Like, and then there are so many people who put everything out on social media. Like, I don't know, whatever.
So
like everything, like literally everything. I ate this morning, and then I went to take a shower, and then I worked out, and then like their whole life is on social media, and like, I don't know, like, why do you do that? Why don't you keep it to yourself?
It's interesting. We had a conversation about hyperreality. The reason I don't do what you're describing is because I don't think I can actually portray myself that way, because I will be too tempted to glorify myself in a fake way, almost. Like, I will put a filter on that picture. I will stage that picture. I will have something. There's no way I'm going to have a bottle of ketchup in that picture, because my haters are going to come out and say, you eat ketchup. What are you doing? Right? You know what I'm saying?
And people do that. People make out of their way and stage a picture and stay there for, take like 100 million pictures for one good shot, and then put 15 filters on it and a face app and whatever. Put a fake sun in the sky just because it's sunny. Like, it's insane what people do for, I guess, likes and followers. And like, there are people, I mean, I am grateful for the people who follow me, because that's how I make my money, basically.
Right.
Like, I get the followers. I mean, not really. That's like a secondary thing. Like, I perform and I get basically followers, and then companies are interested because I have all this following. These people want to know what I do and like how I get there, and then that's how I basically make my salary. But at the same time, those people don't know me. Like, I don't know them. Like, we're not friends. Just because they leave a like or a comment, like, oh, that was so good. Like, you're doing amazing, or you look so pretty. That's like, people, I shouldn't be like relying, like, I don't know. Those people are like not my friends. They are just there, and I'm grateful for them. But at the same time, I shouldn't say I don't care about them, but they're not people who I know. They are like strangers. Maybe they think that they know me throughout social media, but I share so little about my life. I share CrossFit and workouts and what I do in the gym, but I don't share things that I don't want to share with them.
I think that again, this like last podcast, you guys talked a little bit about marketability, and that's what I'm hearing in a lot of this too.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because companies don't understand what they would have if they worked with a person like Laura, because she's presenting something that the world is lacking right now. It's like it's lacking the genuine, authentic person who is themselves and who doesn't really want to share that with everybody else. Like, everybody else is, drooling at the mouth to share everything that they did all day because they want 3 extra followers online.
Right, and that's what I was going to say, is that knowing both of you, you're very similar in that regard to just being true to yourselves and not playing toward the media or trying to achieve something by acting a different way for people, because I think there are a lot of times a personality that people give social media, and then a personality that if you ever get to meet that person, you find, oh wow, that's a little different. Maybe one, you like one better, you don't like one better, but I don't think there's 2 different personalities for either of you when it comes to that. Good or bad, like, I think people are attracted to different things. Like, I don't follow a whole bunch of people because they do, I don't know, post weird stuff or just put all their whole lives out there. But at the same time, I think the population, or those of us that follow CrossFit Games athletes, or they want some inkling of relatability. So sometimes a little bit more into someone's life is just like, wow, I really, and it doesn't have to be fake or forced, or any time it comes naturally, I think is good, because someone goes, I can relate to that, or I see them as the person, not just the athlete that they're posting.
But like, the more I look at people like coming naturally, things like, there are these companies who like sponsor you, and then you post, like, I feel like I see so many people out there who just like every single post they make is basically an ad for a company. And like, I don't know if like people see that when you follow someone, like, okay, this post is about a drink, this post is about a shoe, this post is about a gummy bear, this post is about a whatever, like, or like, it's just like, so like, it's, I don't know, like, I stopped following those people because I don't want to look at that. Like, yeah. I don't want to, I watch enough TV or YouTube or whatever, where every 1 minute there's an advertisement popping up. Like, I don't want to watch my phone and then just like advertisement.
No, I get it. And I think there's always going to be people that recognize that know that person's getting paid for that. They're posting it. Who knows if they even really like that drink, that shoe, that whatever they're posting. And then for every person that doesn't trust that or recognizes it for what it is, these athletes are being paid, which they need to be. You know, I get that. They need to be. But I'm not going to trust that opinion, right? Blanket face. I'm going to go, like, maybe I'll try that drink. But if I don't like it, I don't like it. You know what I mean? Or just because you're sponsored by that supplement company doesn't mean now I'm going to buy that supplement company. I'm still going to see what they're about and if it's worth it. Or I'm going to taste it. And if I think it's trash, I'm not going to use it. But other people are just going to jump on, oh, they use that or they wear that and that's what they're going to buy. And that's what those companies, I think, are hoping and relying on. Mm-hmm. And I think that, unfortunately, less and less people scrutinize that, or they don't do their own research, and they just want to wear or buy or eat or drink whatever their favorite athlete does. So it's going to always, I think, go both ways.
And maybe they don't even drink it or eat it or wear it.
Yeah, I know.
They just doing it because they are paid, and then they just put it on social media, and they might not even like the product, but because the company is paying them $1 million, of course I'm gonna put it. I'm bathing in this sunscreen or whatever.
I would pay attention to those athletes, and I do pay attention to those athletes that seemingly have a different company or a different sponsor all too frequently. I was like, wait a second, you've had 5 different supplement sponsors in the course of 2 years. They can't all be the greatest thing on the planet. They can't all be the best tasting, cleanest ingredient, you know? So you just have to be a discerning, what are you? What am I? When I buy stuff. What's the word? Losing the word. Consumer. Thank you. Consumer. You just, yes.
The Hungarian comes up with it.
Knows the American word. Thank you. Yeah. You just have to be, you've got.
And I think as an athlete, you have to be a genuine, authentic person at the same thing. You're not going to shill a product that you don't actually believe in and think would benefit.
Most people have no idea what the word shill means.
I mean, like, you just but most people do on Instagram.
Right.
Well, yeah.
There's a word for this. There's a definition.
Most people don't know
You're
what that
a
means?
shill. No.
Oh, all right.
Right. Exactly.
It's like selling a product that you don't use just because it makes you money, or like really pumping something that you have a stake in just to make other people buy it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
People have qualities. Like, I'm gonna, I don't know. I think this people have to have the quality. Like, I'm gonna sign with this company because I like their product, I like the people, I like what they represent, I like what they put out. And then there are people who are not gonna do that because I'm just in for the money.
This is back to the point about what makes the gym special is the same idea. So like as an athlete, if I'm going to be sponsored by a company, I'm going to be sponsored by a company only if I like them, I find value in their products, I use them consistently, they help me, and I think they would help other people too. Like, I'm not going to share it online if I don't think it's going to help other people. Seriously, like, I'm not going to do that.
For sure.
And I think you know that same mentality is held by a lot of individuals here at the gym. Like, they don't do a lot of things at the gym if they're not going to help, if they're going to hurt other people around them. Like, they don't do them. Or they do them if it's going to help people around them. And they might not do that in another gym setting. Like, they might not you're not going to see that in a global gym. You'll see the opposite. You'll see competition or something like that.
All
Negative
right.
competition.
Here's like a pretty good litmus test. I wonder if you guys agree. Very rarely do you see selfishness really manifest itself like in a workout. And this is what I mean. This gym has 20 to 25 person classes normally, give or take. What's more accurate, George?
We're around 15, I would say.
Okay, 15. All right, I don't want to misrepresent this anyway. We're gonna go with 15. If there is not enough, let's say, equipment to go around, the go-to disposition for you to put yourself is to share it, to make sure that it is as accessible for you and others as possible, which is a pretty popular thought right now. Make everything as accessible to all as it should be.
The other thing coming to that, I thought you were going to say, oh, all the bike ergs are taken. So then you have people that start pulling out the assault bikes and echo bikes.
Right.
That's,
And this,
you know what I
well,
mean?
this
Making
was
the
the
workout
next
harder
stage.
for themselves,
You
so that everybody else in the class
Right,
can
you
get
start
the workout
there.
as prescribed.
Exactly. You start there, and then you start noticing, and then you got a couple of guys that are beasts in the class, and it's like, we ran at 20-pound wall balls. Well, why don't we make that set of 20 just a set of 15? Or you could really push yourself, grab the 30-pound wall ball, and see if you can do it at 30 pounds instead. And then you start scaling up into this really fun space, too, where you're calling more out of yourself in so many different arenas of life at that very moment. And all it took was to run out of 25 or 20-pound medicine balls to see this happen.
And then that person becomes almost like a leader in the class, like they're essentially making a sacrifice to help another person, but they're also making themselves a little bit better by challenging themselves in a way. And then someone might see that and they're like, oh, I want to try to do that. I'm going to try to match them. And then the competitiveness
it
comes
happens immediately. You see, I dare you. Like, all these idiots are like, oh, the class has, bike erg in it. We're assault biking. I'm like, you're assault biking, you dummies. I'm going to do the bike erg. And then it's like, no, we're doing it as a partner, and me and you are racing these two. And I'm like, okay. And then I willingly sign up for this atrocity of a piece of exercise equipment that just dominates you. But
That's true.
Even then, so you said that all of that reminded you of this gym. I was even going to go further back, which is, well, what's the CrossFit story? Like, what is this place supposed to be embodying at that moment? And I really, really want to hear what you all think CrossFit is. Like, if you could give
I'd like to hear Laura say.
And granted, I know this is very.
Maybe Georgie can answer first.
This
Laura
is
can
very
ping pong off.
spur of the moment. It doesn't need to be philosophical. It doesn't need to be anything other than you. Just like you're saying, like just you. Just answer however. Just whatever the question. The question is, what do you think the story of CrossFit is? And it's like, well, the story of CrossFit to me is.
You can go ahead, Georgie.
You're not going to start by giving us yours?
Yeah,
I would
let's
like
hear
that.
yours for JB, and then we can.
I'll keep mine very brief, and then maybe we'll expound more so that it gives you a little more leeway in it. The story of CrossFit for me was the death of bodybuilding in my life and the entrance into actual wellness. So it was essentially the story of CrossFit in my life is the death of ego in myself, of just all that matters is how I look and the facade I can put on and the physique I can build and the bravado I can carry, to, am I actually doing well for myself? Like almost holistic wellness, mind, body, spirit. I'm moving well. Don't get me wrong. I want to be fit. I want to look good when I go to the beach, right? Because that was connected to a middle school self when I was fat, and I didn't like being fat. It wasn't fun. That's not fun, right? Like it's not. That's hard. Being fat is hard. Being fit is hard. Which one do you want? And because the turmoil. So anyways, the story for me was sort of the death of ego, of just this, facade of consumer to an actual participant in wellness. That's the story of CrossFit for me.
Okay, and then before you guys go, for me it would be, it started as the way for me to achieve the most physical potential that I had in myself. I wanted to see what my body was capable of doing, and it was the way and the method that you go about achieving that. And then it became what you can take those same things and give them away to other people. So it was a combination of those two things. It was first my experience, and then the bigger picture that you can actually take that and share that with other people, and they can benefit from it. So that was the story for me.
Mine, I guess if I had to kind of put it in one word, would just be, it would probably be transformation. So it was a redirection of a life course almost entirely. So not just physically, but mentally. And I wasn't just unhealthy weight-wise. I was unhealthy life-wise.
For me is basically what I told you. Like, I was my brother's shadow, and he started CrossFit, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do CrossFit. Oh, Georgie. So I basically was just like very competitive from a young age, and he started CrossFit. So I was like, oh, he does this, I'm gonna do it. And we basically did it at my parents' climbing gym, and then he was like going into a weightlifting gym, and like I was just following him there, and I just wanted to beat him every workout. So at the beginning, I really liked it. He probably didn't like it because I was just like, my goal this today is just like to beat my brother in whatever workout he like decides to do, probably from the .com or just like whatever he came up with. And then we just did that. And then now CrossFit is still like back then it was like a family thing, and now it's still a family thing for me, because now when I'm at home, my mom, my little brother comes and trains with me, and my dad is there all the time. So it just basically just like spend time with my family and get fit. Like they just support me there, and it's just like probably not 1 hour, it's like 2 hours or 3 hours at the gym, but they're all there and they're just supporting me. So I don't know, for me it's just like family, I guess. And then a lot of like throughout CrossFit, I gained so many good friends and just like people who like genuinely help me and wants me to succeed, which is like, I think, amazing. And probably I could find it in all the other sports, but I found it in CrossFit. So I'm very grateful for that. Like I wouldn't know all of you guys if it wasn't for CrossFit.
It's very interesting. You said family. I'm going to go one word descriptions of what we said. Laura's was family. Ben's was potential. Mine was ego. And, ego. And Georgie's is wellness.
Transformation.
The second part really made me think of wellness. So what's the story then? You see?
Yeah, no,
It's why you can come in here and you can talk about this place, and then legitimately I can be like, this reminds me of the Grand Canyon. And I can tell you why my trip to the Grand Canyon reminds me of this space. Something is contained within these four walls that is like cosmic. It's like a pattern beyond a pattern, beyond a pattern, beyond a pattern, and it's all collapsed and mapped into this one space that is a place for you to come and push your potential and to be with family and to kill ego and to transform and then do it all again the next day. And if you come in and suck on Monday, like I sucked yesterday, like let's be honest, you know what I'm saying? I forgot my stuff. I look awful when I come to the gym, by the way. Like if you're wondering like, oh man, I wonder what JB wears to the gym, think homeless and then tattered homeless. They're like, and it just is what it is. Like, and nobody knows why. Like most people probably think they have an idea. I'm going to tell you all why I do that. Before my life transformed. So one of the transformations in my life was an encounter with God that transformed me. All right. Some people say God's not real. Jesus isn't real. Organized religion sucks. I'm cool with all of you. That's fine with me. That's not my story. That's not what I believe. This encounter was it was a mind transformation for me first. But then it immediately manifested itself in my life in a real way, which was I really cared what I wore. Like I really, 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 really cared. And you might think you're like, oh man, JB, I can't really see that. I promise you, I really, really cared about fashion. And when I had this encounter, I had a transformation. I had a transformation, and one of those transformations was I tried to really, really, really stop caring about my apparel. Like, I really did. So, at that point, I made up a couple of life rules. If somebody told me they liked what I was wearing, I'd give it to them if they wanted it. So like I would have a really nice jacket or a really nice or like some nice shoes on or whatever it was. And all of this, and this is why, because all of it was before this encounter. So if I was wearing something like that, like I bought these shoes, you know, like I had this really, really, really nice pair of Adidas Shell Toes. They were limited edition. They were phenomenal. They were black, suede, white bottom, white stripes. I spent forever trying to find these. I was a sneakerhead too. And one day I remember this kid that at JM was like, yo, man, I love your shoes. And I was like, you can have them. Took them off my feet. I walked home. I went back to my car with no shoes on. But that was something I had to do, like for me. And so now it's kind of free. It is the reality here. And everybody's like, look at this bum, you know, and his cutoffs or whatever it was. And it's like, yeah, it's just something I kind of got to do for me. And it is what it is. And it's just me now. But I'm cool with that. It really is, you know, it is what it is. Like, that's really like the case for me. I wish, and this is what I mean, I can't let that back into my life, like, at all. Legitimately, at all. So it will consume me. It will absolutely consume me. So I wear Ben's old shoes, old shirts, old shorts. I do have a confession. I have a confession. I still buy socks. I like socks. Okay.
Yeah, Laura's got holes in all of hers.
Yeah. But that, and I'm talking a little too much, but do you all agree with this sort of anomaly that this place seems to be?
I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah.
And that's
Are
why
you
I'm-
as fascinated as are you all as fascinated as I am with this?
Meaning just us as in Krypton?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it really does.
Yeah.
Like it's shocking to me how sweet this is.
And I never ever believe people when like, we've got the best gym. I'm like, oh yeah, you haven't been to ours. or you haven't had the opportunity to get pulled in completely to the community and make the connections here. Dropping into a gym is probably different than actually being there full time and really getting enmeshed in that community and what they have to offer and all the things that we do here. Maybe some other places have that specialness about them, or maybe it's just another place to work out. I don't know. You go to another gym.
I feel like every gym thinks that they are the best gym for them. Like that's just how it's supposed to be. Like the community should think that this is the best place for me, and they don't have to experience other gyms. Like I've been experiencing this gym and like a couple of gyms at home, and I think this is an amazing gym. But I also think that gym is an amazing gym. But it's has its own vibe, has its own people, and like this gym is just. But this is also an amazing gym. You can't really compare gyms. I mean, I don't know. Like, of course, you can compare the workouts,
Right.
the coaching, the people, I guess, but it's just different for like every gym is different.
It is an interesting thought. And so here's another little look. So one of the things that I do in my life, my actual job, is I work for Young Life. You hear me say this all the time. I say it all the time on the podcast. You don't know what Young Life is, look it up. Doesn't really matter. Young Life has summer camps. We go to summer camp every year. All right. There's a phenomena within Young Life, which is the first camp you go to is your favorite. But it doesn't necessarily, it's definitely not necessarily the best. This is what I mean. The first camp I went to was in Virginia, and it's legitimately like there's 26 camps. It's probably, you know, middle of the pack as far as like actual judgment of if it's good. However, it's the best to me. And you really can't convince me otherwise. I legitimately, you're like, oh, well, it's actually this one. Look at this one. You can clearly tell this is prettier. It's got nicer things. It's got nicer amenities, all of the above. And it's like, so? I don't care. It's not nicer to me. And this isn't like a corny, like my truth type of statement. I think that that's a corny thing. But willing to discuss it. Once again, open to conversation. However, there's a interesting part of what you just said, Laura, where it's like to compare them might be silly because there's something about how you feel like about that space, like the people that whose space it is, how they feel about that space. You're not going to convince them that there's a better space for them, which is another like anomaly that doesn't really happen. And like you kind of hear it in like there's not a ton of other things like this. Like, can you all think of other things like that?
Sports teams?
Mm-hmm.
Like my team's the best.
But I want to like kind of answer that a little bit or just comment on that a little bit. I do believe, like what Laura says, there's tons of people think, oh, my space is the best, or our gym's the best community. And I wonder how many they've been to or how many gym communities they've been a part of. Some people find one, accept that it works okay, and they think that that's what it's going to be. Other people have to go multiple places, and they're forced in and out of different gyms, whether they're relocating for whatever reason, so they have an experience with multiple gyms, and they can speak directly to the fact that, like, no, there are gym communities that are above and beyond other ones I've been a part of. And I hear it all the time when people leave here. Hey, yeah, this gym's pretty good that I go to. I like it, but it'll never hold a candle to Krypton or whatever. And then for myself, like I said, I passed through a couple before I made my way here. And why did I leave them? I did a level 1 after I got here to learn more about CrossFit, and I think that's when I truly started to understand. But before that, I didn't think about programming. It wasn't about the workouts. It was always about the community for me. And I never jived in those communities with whatever kind of they were offering me, or for the fact that some people just didn't offer anything. Like, there was never an olive branch. And it's like, well, if I can go work out alone in a regular gym, so what is this CrossFit thing all about? Why am I here paying $200 a month to be in a class with all these people that I'm not making any connections with? I don't understand this. I didn't understand it till I got here. And I think there's a lot of places out there that are like that. But for one, it's a lack of knowledge on people's parts that there can be greater communities. Or two, maybe they don't want that and they just want the fitness methodology, which, okay, I wouldn't get paying what you're paying for it if that's all you want, because you can do that alone in your garage or somewhere else.
Yeah. That's true.
I do want to ask you two a question, maybe in closing, because I think it's something that's special, that's a part of the story that me and Georgie get to partake in, which is you all invite us to work out with you. That's rare with and this is what I mean. LeBron's not looking to play pickup basketball with me because there's a very real discrepancy between his abilities and mine and what needs
MJ would probably play, though.
Maybe but let the analogy, do what it's supposed to do, because usually spaces with the top 0.001%, of those spaces usually aren't able to mingle with those civilians in that space.
It's because you can't separate the games from the regular CrossFit methodology. Link to the podcast. Check out the other one because we talked about it forever, and people still disagree with it.
Yeah,
because you can't separate them; they're the same thing. I mean, that's just I'm going more down the idea route. Laura might go more down the people route. Like, she'll probably want to say it.
Yeah, that's what I love about CrossFit, that I can do it with anyone and everyone. Like, I'm going to go home Saturday, and Monday morning, my mom is going to come and train with me, and she's going to do the exact same workout as I am doing. Maybe not not an exact same workout, but the same time domain or same reps or same. Like, it's scalable. So we're going to work out together. And my other brother, younger brother, is also going to work out with me, who probably hasn't worked out in 2 months because I haven't been home. And he's going to be totally fine. He might puke at the end, but he'll be fine.
And I would do it because I would want to show that person that they can do the same thing that I can and that we can. Like, we do this together. This is a group thing. And it's like, they might not realize that. And I like showing them that. Like, I enjoy bringing people into CrossFit that have never experienced it before or are new to it, and letting them finish the workout and then say, wow, I didn't know I was capable of that. that's what draws me to it.
I feel special. I feel loved. I feel cared for. I feel special. I feel valuable. I feel valued. I feel like I matter. I feel important. I have meaning. I have purpose. And a lot of those things are you couldn't monetize that for me. And there's something really interesting in the fact that if I get to the gym and you all say, hey, do you want to do this workout with me? All of those things I just said, which span beyond any paycheck, behind any amount of money you could give me that would make me feel that way, because it couldn't. You just inviting us into that place, which you're saying you don't think twice about, is invaluable. It's a mystery. This is a mystery to me. It goes beyond comprehension. One, that you would invite me to do that with you. One, because I feel like there's no way I belong in that space with you. And then it's like if somebody for some reason, that invitation, I don't know what I'm trying to describe at this point. I'm not sure what it is, and I'm not even trying to say like, Ben, Laura, you're special. You know, like you're the, you know.
So this training thing provides me like this meaning and purpose in my life, right? And then it just kind of, when I invite you into it, I want to share that same thing that's invaluable to me. Like you said, you can't put a price tag on it.
Right.
Meaning and purpose. It's like what everybody's kind of looking for, right?
Right.
I want to share that because it means that much to me.
Yeah.
I think it just comes natural. Like, why would I do it alone when I can do it with you? Like, why would you want to do anything alone when you can invite people to experience the same thing and like get better and just like enjoy it together? Like, I don't know, like everything is better together. That's why there's this community. That's why you don't work out at home in your garage gym.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably that's probably it.
I think it's a feeling of belonging.
You want to belong. Do I matter? Where do I belong? That's it. Do I matter? Well, you answer that. By you asking me to work out, boom, I do matter. Where do I belong? Well, right there with them. They are saying, and if you're at the highest, if you're at the top of the pyramid and you're inviting us into that space, that's wild. We immediately we get brought to this place where it's like, man, this is crazy. And this is what's the most important.
But I think you see that I'm on top of the pyramid. Like, I don't see myself, I'm at the top of the pyramid. I see we are at the same, like, we just meet in the middle. We are, like, it's not like a pyramid and I'm there and you're here. It's just like, we are all here and we just want to, like, help each other and just do this together. And that's your feeling that you are thinking that you are not up
I disagree.
there. Because you should think that you're also up there or we are at the same spot.
I disagree. The pyramid only... the pyramid collapses to where you're talking about the second you all ask us to join you.
Yeah, you show that it doesn't really exist.
You show that the pyramid is collapsible.
Yes.
However, the second you collapse it is like the second it sort of like almost like bounces back up or something like that for you, where it's like, and I'm gonna go win this thing. Like that's. It's a mystery. It's a glorious mystery to me, and I will talk about this for a long time with this person.
Well, thank you, Laura and Georgie, for joining us. This was the best podcast yet.
Amen.